welcome. Great to have you here. If you could introduce yourself and tell us about your role at the co-op.
Sure, so I'm Anne Douglas, I'm the Group Director of FarmSource. FarmSource is the part of our cooperative that is all about supporting our farmers. So as a cooperative, we're owned by our farmers, but they have their own farming businesses. And our job in FarmSource is to get alongside them, provide advice, support, reassurance, technical expertise to help make sure that they're farming to the best of their ability today, but also farming and evolving the way that they're farming to be really successful for generations and contribute to their broader cooperative.
What is your personal view on sustainability?
I draw a lot of inspiration from our purpose, right? There is a line in our purpose in the cooperative that talks about goodness for generations, and to me that is just a lovely way to describe what sustainability is all about. We're here today, we need to make sure that we're using our resources to the best of our ability today, but also making sure that we're protecting that for the long term and making sure that the value that we're adding back is more than what we're taking out of it. That's about our environment, it's about our people, it is about our animals and our land. It's every part of our business, in fact, making sure that we are in fact here for generations. And actually most of our emissions and our sustainability impact environmentally comes through our farmers' businesses and how they're running their farms. So it's really important that we get alongside them. At the end of the day, they love their land, their animals, the people on their farm. All of that really matters to them, and they need to be doing that well today, but also looking at how we can continue to improve into the future and continue to lead in this really important space.
So why is it so important to focus on on-farm activities?
It's really important that we do think about on-farm activities, largely because if we look at the cooperative's total emissions footprint, the vast majority of that comes on-farm. And so yes, we are a cooperative, but our farmers do run their own farming businesses, and actually that activity on farm is where we've got the biggest opportunity to make our improvements. We're really proud of what we've achieved today. Our farmers want to continue to improve. We've had 150 years of being a really proud, innovative dairy cooperative here in New Zealand, and that we want to continue for another 150 years. So on farm is the biggest opportunity for us, and it's an area that our farmers are incredibly passionate about improving as we look to the future.
That's a lot of change. Are the farmers up for the challenge?
Yeah, our farmers are really up for this sustainability challenge. You know, they're sitting there today and they care deeply about the land, their animals, their environment, their people, and they really do worry about the impact that they're having. They've had 150 years of actually working on this land, and the opportunity ahead for them now is how to get even better. I was with a farmer last week who is one of our leading, quite progressive farmers. Some might say he's absolutely kind of gold standard in terms of sustainability. And actually even he is saying, how do I get better? What's the next thing I'm going to go after? And even better still from my perspective, he wants to share his learnings and insights with other farmers so that we can bring every single person along their journey, because it really matters. So yeah, it's a big change. There's a lot of opportunity for us, but we've got a really passionate and driven and committed farmer base to go after that opportunity.
So what are Fonterra's on-farm priorities? What are farmers doing right now?
One of the areas that we're focusing on is around good farming practices. We farm with nature here in New Zealand every day. We're out there and amongst the elements, responding to the weather around us, working with our soil, working with our really unique biodiversity here in New Zealand. And the way that we do that is quite special, it's quite unique, and we're really well versed in that. What comes with that is some really good depth of understanding about actually what good farming practices look like. And so we've recently issued to all of our farmers a booklet that outlines for them the opportunities they've got to adopt good farming practices onto their farms. It covers all of the different environments that our farmers might be working in across the country. We're a small country, but quite long and thin, and we have quite a range of climatic and soil conditions to deal with. So it's really about helping them know and understand what choices they can make on their farm, what tweaks and practices they might want to change so they can really make the most of their natural environment and the way that they're farming.
What are some of the things that farmers could be doing to improve carbon intensity?
So to improve carbon intensity on a farm, there's a lot of things that our farmers might be able to do, and a lot of it's what they're already doing. They'd be looking at feed. What are they doing with their feed? They'd be looking at how they're optimising use of fertiliser. They'd be considering things like reproductive elements or genetics in the animals, and of course there's lots of room around novel and new technology.
Can you share some of the innovation that's happening?
I think one of the most important things to remember is that we are a pasture-based farming system. So the solutions here in New Zealand might look a little bit different to other parts of the world for the dairy sector, but we're really putting our money where our mouth is. So we've invested alongside a number of organisations here in New Zealand and the government into a joint venture that is doing extensive research into what we can do to mitigate climate impacts and to make sure that we're doing all that we can.
Can you explain what our farm level reporting is?
So we have got data and information down to a farm level right the way across New Zealand, across every member of our cooperative. That is a huge amount of data, that is robust data, it's quality data and at real depth. That gives us a lot of information and insight into each farm. It will tell us what their environmental impacts are. It will give us insight into the quality of their milk. It will tell us about what's happening for greenhouse gas emissions on that farm level perspective. And that is quite unique, we think, around the world. And that is a real strength that we've got in the cooperative, is that ability to collect that data, use that data then in the way that we support our farmers and also promote what we do around the world.
So Fonterra has data on every single farm?
Yeah, we do. We have this amazing data set across every single farm, and there's really two things that we're doing here. One is us being able to produce a report every year for every farm in our cooperative that shows what their environmental impacts are and where they're at. And so that is an insights report. It allows us to understand where our farmers are at, where they're currently tracking, how they're performing when we look at them across the broad network of our cooperative and where their opportunities for improvement might lie. But secondly, we also have what's called a farm environment plan, and that is where we've got a team of dedicated sustainability consultants that go out on farm, sit with each of our farmers individually and work through their specific farm, mapping that farm, getting a really good understanding of the land and the practices on that land, and really helping inform for that farmer what actions they might be able to take as they move forward.
So what are the advantages Fonterra have on this journey?
It's really probably important to start with the fact that as a cooperative, we are already in a leading position in terms of our climate impacts today. So we know that we have really strong sustainability credentials in the way that we produce our milk. It's great quality milk that comes from this incredible natural environment that we are farming in today. So great soils, great grass, great sunshine, great rain. All of that is very true and real here in New Zealand, and our farmers have for generations farmed this land, so they know how to get the most out of that land and really make it work effectively today. What we also have though is a farming base that is really committed to improvement, and they're working hard every day to make sure that they can lift the bar, improve their practices, improve their standards, and ultimately improve the impact that they're having to really live up to our aspirations of leading in sustainability as a cooperative.
What does the future look like for dairy?
So my future for dairy is one that is here for generations. I am genuinely optimistic and excited about what we can achieve here as a cooperative with our dairy farmers in New Zealand. Just last week I was with a group of young farmers here in New Zealand, and one of those farmers was talking to me, and that lady was a fifth generation dairy farmer here in New Zealand, and she talked about a future that I could get excited about, one where she really respected the heritage and the history of her family for generations before her, who was invested in trying to make things better today, but ultimately focused on how she was going to create an amazing future. One where her children and their children and their children again could actually continue to do what we do so well, to produce this high quality, nutritious product that we take to the world to feed a whole lot of people with something that is just so truly good in every sense of the word.